Hey there, it's Christine, and welcome to my World Shark Day event. So please say hello in the chat box. Tell me if you've ever seen a shark before. Maybe it's been in an aquarium. I've been lucky to see them in the wild. In fact, I saw this hammerhead shark in the Galapagos Islands. So, as you probably know, there are a lot of days that honor wildlife, and sharks are one of my favorite, and I think one of the most important. We have this day called Shark Appreciation Day or World Shark Day because they are endangered. Many of the world's species. In fact, you think that might be dangerous for you to go swimming in the ocean, but it's a lot more dangerous for a shark to be swimming in the ocean because it's estimated that over 100 million sharks are captured and killed each year. Primarily for their flesh or for their liver, or for their skin, or for their meat, or just for trophies, or as bycatch. So it's really important, I think, to learn more about sharks and appreciate them. And so that's what we're going to do today. So I'm going to move this. This is my hammerhead shark I got in the Galapagos Islands. And we're going to be drawing this tiger shark. And I also wanted to mention I actually have a new course on sharks. It focuses on the great white shark. And there's a link in somewhere in Facebook or YouTube, or I'll add it later on below this video. And I'd love to have you check it out. It's on sale this week. So anyway, we are drawing the tiger shark. And so why are we drawing the tiger shark? Well, because this is one of the fiercest predators in the ocean. It's one of the largest. It's actually the third largest shark and the second largest predatory shark, right behind the great white shark. And they live throughout the world's oceans. And they're often in shallow areas as well. So it's more likely that people might be in contact with them. And that's probably one of the reasons that they are one of the sharks that is blamed for more shark attacks than others. And also it's very beautiful. It's called the tiger shark because it has these patterns on it, which you may not see in the photograph, but they're kind of like up and down vertical stripes like a tiger has. And they're more prominent in younger ones. Just like baby fawns, baby deer fawns, they have stripes to help camouflage them. The same with these guys. So anyway, I'd love to have you say hello in the chat box and tell me if you've ever seen a shark before. Now, we're going to be drawing this one, and don't get started quite yet. I will make this picture bigger in just a moment, but I want to just talk a little bit about it because the more you understand the anatomy, its three-dimensional form and its parts, the more you'll be able to draw it more accurately and with speed and confidence. Now, you're probably not going to see one of these in the wild, but you might see a shark at an aquarium. I used to work at the Monterey Bay Aquarium, and we had several species of sharks there. And it was easy if you wanted to bring your nature sketching journal and stand in front of the shark habitat and sketch them. So you might be able to sketch a real shark at an aquarium. So sharks are always pretty streamlined, especially the open ocean ones that swim a lot. So they're streamlined kind of like a submarine, so they can swim fast through the water. And some species, of course, swim faster than others. And then they have several fins. The first one is the first dorsal fin, which is really big, and in some it's much larger. And sometimes it has a little free edge that's trailing at the end here. And then there's a second dorsal fin. And then there's the tail fin or caudal fin. And sometimes the top is much longer than the bottom, like in the thresher sharks. And this shark, the tiger shark, has a little bit longer part to its top tail as well. And then it has a pair of pectoral fins. You can only see one in this picture, but there are a pair, and that helps it to steer and be stable. And then there's a pair of pelvic fins. And then if this is a male shark, it would have the claspers behind that. And then there's the anal fin, and there's just one of those. Now, of course, the head is the biting end, and they have lots of interesting anatomical features about their head. At the very tip of the snout, there are nostrils, so they have very good sense of smell. And then they have an eye, of course, and a mouth, and of course, teeth in there. And the tiger shark has really interesting shaped teeth. They're kind of I don't know if I can draw it without looking at it, but they're kind of like this with this uh, um, piece like that. Oh, I don't think you can see that yet. Anyway, I'll change the, yeah, I'll change this a bit so you can see. Okay, and then they have their gills, which enables them to breathe, and they'll have a different number of those. Usually, there's 5 of those vertical gill slits, but sometimes there's 6 or 7. Alrighty. And then they usually have different kinds of patterns. They're usually kind of a grayish, blackish blue, depending on the species at the top. And then at the bottom, they have a white edge underneath. And that helps to camouflage them because if there's another shark or predator under them, their white bellies kind of blend in with the lightness of the sky above them. Whereas if it's a predator from above, the dark area camouflages them and makes them look like the same deep sea. And speaking of predators, they don't have very many predators. The tiger shark, it's up right up there at the top of the food chain. It's only thought that orcas are their predators. Now, of course, like I said, man is a major predator, and many of the world's species are endangered or threatened or going extinct from mainly hunting. But to some extent, habitat loss and pollution as well, but mainly hunting. So that's why there's a World Shark Day and a Shark Appreciation Day like today. And so, in terms of what they eat, these guys are considered omnivores. In fact, they even eat a lot of garbage, which has been found in their stomach. But they have a very wide diets from seals and birds and dolphins to fish and squid and crustaceans. So they'll eat a lot of things. Okay, so now we know what it looks like. Let's start sketching it. And I'm going to see if you can see this line. I'm just going to start with a pencil. Let me see if you can see that line. Can you see that line? I think I'm a little bit too bright. Let me make this larger so you can see better. Okie dokie. And yeah, that's, oh wait, I was going the wrong way. Trying to make this a little bit less bright. Of course, I could turn off the, I don't know if that's working so well. Let me, just a moment here. I don't know if that works better. I don't know why I'm having a hard time with these lights. But yeah, I don't think you can see that right now. Let me make that bigger for me. Okay, yeah, you can't see that line. And I'm just trying to figure out why. Just let me try to, no, that's the wrong way. There are a lot of buttons I can push here. So that's what makes it confusing. Oh, there we, well, there we go. There we go. There we can see my line a bit better. Okay, great. So I just always start with a line, which is going to show me how long the whole picture is going to be. And then I'm going to make this sort of submarine shape. And, you know, we start just light and loose. And I want you to draw lighter than I am because I just want to make sure you can see these lines because of the lights. And so I usually would have you draw lighter. Now there's going to be more of the shark above this vertical line than below. So it's going to be a little bit bigger with that pointed snout. Okay, and so then got to have room for the tail. And again, just keep this really loose. Don't erase. If you have a line that you don't like, just draw over it. And I'm just gonna draw really loosely first, and then I'll firm up the lines that I like the best. Okie dokie. Now, if anybody is commenting, I can't see your comments right now because I'm drawing, but I will look at those later if you have any kind of comments. I'm going to make this a little skinnier here. And then going to give him a mouth. And, oops, sorry. And then the mouth is a little bit open. And then a little bit skinnier there. So working on the tail. So yeah, try to get this outline first. And I'm looking back and forth at my drawing here. And so it's pretty narrow right here. See how narrow that is right there. So we want to make sure that's pretty narrow. And then he gets a lot fatter here. He or she. The females get a lot larger than the males. Up to 15 feet and 1,000 pounds. And like I said, they're one of the largest. And then it's kind of an arched tail. And this top part is bigger and it's got a little notch. A little notch. And then it comes down and it's kind of pointed. So again, I'm not worrying too much about the extra lines because I'm going to fill him in or her in with some charcoal pencil in a minute. Okay, so nice pointy snout. And so just gonna double check here. So I want to get this pretty accurate. And again, this shape is related to being able to swim quickly and silently through the water. I like to get this shape pretty accurate first before I add the other fins. All right, and then I will do a little erasing now. I especially want to erase the part I made too fat here. And we can just clean up a few of these other lines too if we want. So the shape of the shark is really important in helping to identify it because some sharks are really heavy-bodied, especially sharks like this, and then other sharks are really more trim and sleek, like the blue shark. I'm excited to be teaching an in-person class in celebration of Shark Week locally here where I live in Oregon next week. That's going to be really fun. Okay, so now that I have that shape pretty close, I'm going to add the other parts. Now I'm going to add the other dorsal fins. There's the 2 dorsal fins, and that's right in the middle, kind of halfway between. A little bit in front of halfway between. And so that's the bigger one. And different species of sharks have different shapes of these fins. Again, it depends on whether they're really an open ocean shark that swims a lot or whether they're a more sedentary bottom dwelling shark. So you see, I just made this big triangle, and then there's this free flap at the end. This one has a free flap as well. And that's smaller. So this is the first and second dorsal fin. There we go. And then we want to do the pectoral fin. And that's going to be right, kind of like right behind this main triangle here. And it's pretty easy, when you're drawing from a photo right above you, it's easy to kind of just come on down. Now, in my courses, I provide these photos for you. And so I'm going to erase this part. So this fin is up here towards close to the base of the gills. So it goes up inside the body instead of just on the edge like these other ones do. And there's going to be kind of a little area like that, and then a free area here. There we go. Okie dokie. And then there's a pair of these. And I think I'm just going to draw one of them because I'm just drawing one of these. And it is a side view. And then one more, and noticing it's behind the other fin here. So the anal fin is behind the second dorsal fin, kind of starts a little bit there, something like that. Okay, now we want to get the bitey end. So we see its eye, although we might be losing that eye when I do the shadow. I should put my glasses on. And then you probably can't really see the nostril, especially once we shadow it. It's not really obvious, but it's kind of right there. Okay, and then, but the gills will be obvious. And this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And one of them is kind of on top of the pectoral fin, and then there's the other ones go in front. So unlike normal bony fish, these are cartilaginous fish, much more ancient. Much more ancient, just a sec. These guys are much more ancient, and so they don't have a bony skeleton. It's cartilaginous. And they also don't have an operculum, which covers the gills and is able to open and close. If you have pet fish in a fish tank or an aquarium, you can see the fish, they can open and close it to help bring oxygen-rich water through their gills. But sharks don't have that. So they have to constantly be swimming. And so, yeah, so these are just the gill slits that open into the really highly vascularized gills that can suck that oxygen out of the water. Okay, let me make this bigger again. Or no, sorry, wait a minute. Just a minute. I want to make this bigger so you can see it. There, I think you can see that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shade it. And that's where the fun part comes, where it starts to be really three-dimensional. And this photograph is quite dark, so it's hard to see the three-dimensionality. But let's pretend this guy is in shallow water, or this big girl, because the females are larger. And they often do come into harbors and bays and shallow water. And so we're going to pretend that the sun is coming from here so that we can make some better highlights and shadows. Okay. So again, I don't know if you can comment or follow along. And I don't know if you're commenting on the Facebook Live. So I just want to make sure you can catch up, and I'm going to see if the Facebook Live has any comments. Not sure if I can see comments. Yeah, not yet. Okay, so great. So anyway, so if you're following along, whatever materials you have, you can use, but I really love charcoal pencils. And there are hard ones and softer ones. Let's see, this happens to be my hard one. Where's my softer one? So they come in different softnesses. So anyway, we are going to start shading it. So no matter what kind of materials you have, you can use those. But I'm just gonna shade the whole thing very lightly, and then I'll blend it with my blending stomp, or you can always use a Q-tip or even your finger if you didn't have anything else. But I just try to put an overall medium value, although we want to be lighter here on their ventral surface. And we're going to want to also emphasize their really cool tiger patterns because, again, this one has the common name of a tiger shark because it has these cool kind of like stripes and even like honeycomb type of patterns that probably you can't see very well in the photo. But if you put a comment in and ask me for this photo, I will share the PDF with you. All right. So that's how I start. And we'll get the tiger stripes last. So now I'm going to use my blending stomp. Now I know a lot of you may have been following my 10-minute sketching demonstrations lately, and those are in my 10-minute playlist, but this is not a 10-minute version. We want to get a little bit more detailed here and really appreciate the beauty of these sharks. You know, sharks have been swimming the planet's oceans for millions of years, since the dinosaurs, and they are so perfectly adapted to their habitat. And again, unfortunately, many are endangered or going extinct because of overfishing. Like I said earlier, it's estimated that up to 100 million sharks are taken out of the oceans and killed every year. Okay. So then now that we have kind of an overall color, we can start to make it a little bit more darker. And if you imagine this shark, you can actually see a little ledge here too. You see, maybe you can't see it in the photo, but I'm gonna put that in. There's this little ledge, and the top of the head is a little lighter than the bottom there. And then there's also we're gonna want to darken the gills, and we'll darken the eye. Alrighty, and then there's going to be more shadowing in the middle because it's a big sphere. So less of the sunlight is going to get around the middle than on the edges. And also there'll be a little bit of a cast shadow under the under the fins as well. And back here too. You can even see that cast shadow. All righty. Then I want to add some more shadowing. And yeah, there's going to be more shadowing on the body than there is in the fin, because the fin is facing upright and facing the sun more than the body. the fin is horizontal and the body is vertical. And again, this middle part of the body is going to have more shadowing. And there's also going to be a bit shadow. You can't really see it, but that's what I'm going to draw it for you, is that the animal's cartilage comes up into the tail, kind of like the backbone, but it's not as strong. And so there's a little shadow. Are you seeing that? Can you see that? There's a little shadow on either side of that. Okay, and so again, I will do some more blending here. Yeah, I'm trying to show that there's this ledge. And then there's some more shadowing, especially in the middle of the body, because the sun can't get around the edge of the middle of the body as well as it can get around the skinnier parts of the body. So charcoals are a little messy, but it's fun to shade with them, and you can always clean them up later. Okay, and then I want to add a little bit more of this patterning. So the patterning, the kind of tiger stripes patterning is going to be kind of random. And I'll also pull out some highlights with my eraser. Yeah, anyway, today is World Shark Day, or Shark Appreciation Day, because they do have a very important role in the ecosystem as a top predator, just like grizzly bears and mountain lions. They help to cull out the old and the weak and help to keep everybody strong, because they're co-evolved with the animals they hunt. So the animals they hunt can get faster, and then they have to get faster. Okay, there you're starting to see that, those tiger stripes. That's cool. Okay. All right. So then I'm going to start to lift out some highlights. And I actually have a pencil here that is an eraser. You can actually sharpen this. And so I want to pull out some highlight again here, that's snout, that doesn't have any of that pigment, and a little bit more here. And of course, the edges can get kind of messy, especially with charcoal. So I'm going to clean those up. And oh, we kind of lost that. Kind of lost the edge here. There's this like notch in the tail. There, I guess, I hope you can see that. Anyway, there's a little notch in the tail. Okie dokie, where was I? Oh yeah, and then, so I am going to pull out some highlights a little bit. I think I'm going to highlight between the gills, and gonna just kind of highlight, pull off some of this pencil for the tiger stripes. Again, like, these guys are called tiger sharks because of these tigery stripes, and they're more prominent when they're younger. Just like in a baby deer, a fawn, they're going to be really prominent. I actually saw some young fawns the other day. It's getting a little bit late in the summer for young fawns, but I did see a deer, and she had some young babies that were still very much camouflaged. Okay, how's that going? I don't know if there's any comments yet. Don't know how to see the comments. Maybe you're drawing. Okay. So this is starting to look pretty good. Now, this part of the fin is going to be the closest to us if it was swimming by, because this fin can be up to like 3 feet long and it would be sticking almost straight out. So I might try to emphasize that, just making visually that really clear and close to us by just giving a little bit more definition to that edge. It's kind of subtle. And the fin is a little bit lower on this back side than on the front. So I can actually add a little bit more graphite. Again, I don't know how much of this you can see, but I hope you can just follow along and do your own thing. I'd say there's actually a little bit of a highlight on the leading edge of this fin. There we go. Okay. And yeah, there's this highlight, a little bit of a highlight on the tail where that cartilage goes. Okay. Now, I think I want to get this. Hope I don't mess this up, but I want to get his eye. I have this cool Uniposca pen. And so I don't know if you can see that, but I was trying to get the eye highlighted a little bit. And you could also make its pupil a little bit more obvious. And maybe I'll make his mouth, the business end of this shark, a little bit more prominent. There we go. Great. Okay. I think that's as much as I'm going to do for now. I could do more. I could work on this forever because I am a trained biological illustrator. So I tend to work on things too long. But anyway, great. Okay. Well, I hope you learned a little bit about sharks today on World Shark Day and Shark Appreciation Day. And remember, they are more in danger from you than you are from them. And so it's important to learn a bit about their conservation and why they're endangered, and to appreciate them a bit more now that you know a bit more about their parts, their anatomy, and their three-dimensional form. And also remember, I do have a new online course where we draw a great white shark. And I go into a lot more detail about their anatomy and their biology and their habitats. And that class is on sale this week only for just $25. And I believe there's a link in the chat box or in the description. And if there isn't now, there will be in a few minutes. So I hope you enjoyed joining me, both live and replay viewers. And that if you liked this, please follow me and subscribe and click the share button below to share this with someone you may know who loves the ocean and loves sharks, especially kids. And next week is Shark Week. You probably have heard about the Discovery Channel's Shark Week. So that's another reason we're talking about sharks today. So thanks for joining me. And I really hope you enjoyed this little workshop on drawing a tiger shark. Have a great day. Take care. Bye bye.